The thing that I love about our story is it tells, hopefully, kids that watch this, they're not alone. And there's power in letting yourself be loved and vulnerable. And our story doesn't shy away from God was always there. And man, for someone to come across our little movie and hopefully get that message, I would hope we would celebrate that, and see the positivity of that.
Welcome back to the Act One podcast. I'm your host, James Duke. Thank you for supporting our little podcast. If you enjoy what you hear today, please share it with your friends and family and maybe even your pets. My guests today, that's right, plural, I have two guests today, are the filmmakers behind the new film A Week Away, which premiered on Netflix on March 26th. They are producer Gabriel Vasquez and director Roman White. Gabriel Vasquez has spent the last 20 years developing and managing the careers of award-winning accomplished artists, including Amy Grant, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Newsboys, and Jackie Velasquez. In 2016, he executive produced his first film, Wildflower, under the Vasquez Productions banner. Roman White has worked with some of the biggest names in entertainment, including Taylor Swift, Blake Shelton, Justin Bieber, and Kelly Clarkson. Also an animator and FX artist, White has earned numerous Emmy Awards, plus multiple Director of the Year nods. In 2016, White wrote and directed his first film, Summer Forever, for Disney and Relativity. Their new production company is Rove Productions, and this is their debut film. A Week Away is the fish-out-of-water story of a troubled teen who ultimately finds love and belonging at the place he least expects, a Christian summer camp. It's currently streaming on Netflix now. Go watch it. It's a lot of fun, and it's actually great for the whole family. Enjoy our conversation. Welcome, Roman and Gabriel. Now, do you go by Gabriel, or do you want me to call you Gabe?
You can call me Gabe. In writing, I asked him to put Gabriel, but just looks more formal. But you can call me.
Okay. So am I in now because I get to call you Gabe?
Am I in?
Yes. I'm in the inner circle. Yes.
Yeah, you're a very small circle. Gabe's a lot nicer than Gabriel, so you're going to enjoy him more.
Nice. Awesome. Fantastic. Hey, guys, it's a pleasure to meet both of you. I'm really excited to have this conversation today. You guys are the team behind this fantastic new film on Netflix, which just came out on Friday. For those who are maybe listening to the podcast, it just premiered this past Friday on Netflix, and it's called A Week Away. And my kids and I watched it on Friday, and we loved it. So it was a lot of fun. I might be a little too close to. I wasn't expecting to be so much in your demographic. I love it. The songs resonated with me a little too close to home. I kept looking at my kids going, I know this song too. Wait a minute. So anyway, congratulations, you guys. How, just right off the bat, how does Netflix work? Do you get numbers? I mean, opening weekend stuff. What's the feedback maybe you've received from Netflix and from other people? How's the film doing?
Well, Netflix is phenomenally supportive. They have been this entire time. They're just an incredible team. We are working with the family division, but they're also very data driven. So they are waiting to collect data. So we should see some more data after 10 days and then again after 28 days. But, looking on what's available to everybody, we've been number 4 domestically for the film side. And then between 7 and 10 on the overall Netflix charting, which is amazing. And then globally been number 1 in Czech Republic, in Brazil, and Canada, and
wow,
just incredible. Netflix is a global company, and so I think that was the other thing that has blown us away is I think we don't realize here truly how global they are. And that if you just look online, you'll see our trailer in, I think, like 32 languages. And
which was amazing. I mean, the first time, I think Gabe sent me like a Hindi trailer, and seeing it in Hindi, like where you spend all this time with this cast and stuff and editing and stuff, and then you see them suddenly speaking Hindi, and everything sounds so much more angry in some of the languages. Like not necessarily Hindi, but like the Greek one. The Greek one was the one.
Greek was great.
Yeah, it was like watching My Big Fat Greek Wedding. But
If
yeah,
you
it was
actually
weird.
if you let the credits roll, which most people don't ever watch the credits anymore on Netflix, but if you actually let it roll, you'll see all the different countries at the very end because they credit all the actors who did all the voiceovers, and it's phenomenal. You know, it's humbling. I think it's incredible that a film that has such powerful undertones of faith, but also has dive and great adventure and baby and place in this world and awesome God is being consumed so positively globally is really humbling. You know, I think it just shows I think the power of great content, the power of a great song, and I think it continues to show just how hungry people are for hope and light and faith and fun and inspiration, and you're not alone. So that's been pretty, I think, most overwhelming from them. And hopefully we'll get more statistics soon, but I think so far the response has been amazing.
That's awesome. Now, just so that our audience knows, Roman, you were the director of the film, and then Gabriel, Gabe, you were credited as one of the writers and one of the producers, and you are an Act One alum.
Correct.
And you went through the program. I think did you say in 2012? Is that right?
Yes, I believe that's right.
Okay. So I'd love to just hear about the process of you guys coming together and was it you, Gabriel? Because I know there's other people in the team on the team as well. How did the two of you, each of you, come to be a part of this project?
Yeah. In 2015, I sat down with Alan Pell, who is my co-creator, and we co-produced this together. And we started brainstorming just about the loves in our life, the love of Christian music, the love of our family, the love of wanting to continue to do film. And over a bad cup of coffee down the street from here, we just started sharing all these different thoughts and ideas. And from that coffee came the birth of what we called church camp for many years. We both had young kids. We both knew every Disney musical way too well. We knew what a part of those sort of films had in our own households, and just really started dreaming and believing that there was an opportunity to do that type of film, but a little bit differently. And, there were certain things in a Disney film that aren't really ever said. They're wonderful, they're magical, they're whimsical, they're not necessarily filled with great deep content, specifically undertones of faith. And we both came from this rich love of Christian music, Chapman and Amy and Michael and all of them being huge influences on our lives, and just thought, wow, is there space here, like you just said, where these songs will resound in a way for a generation again. And so we just started really moving on that idea, and it was years of pitching and talking, and we did demos on it, because every time we said church camp, people thought, like, what is that? It sounds kind of campy. It sounds kind of cheesy. It sounds kind of kids boppy. And so we continued to try to have to prove ourselves on what that looked like. And so we did demos. We did a concept video so that we could really show people what we were thinking.
What was the concept video? Like, what did it consist of?
We did, we had a producer in LA do a rough recording. I'd call it a rough in music term, of Place in This World and of Great Adventure. Because when we were talking about it, no one really understood what we were hearing in our head when we talked about like these reimagination versions of these songs. And so we started with that, kind of first putting an audio to it so people could go, oh, that's what you mean when you say reimagine Place in This World. And that's what you mean when you say reimagine Great Adventure. And then we realized that we probably needed a visual to go with it. So, coming from the music world here and having lots of friends here, we brought together just a little team and we shot like a mock music video of Place in This World with our Avery and our Will and did just a short portion of the song.
Okay.
So people could kind of see, oh, this is young and this is camp, this is, oh, I see what you mean when you see these actors, like you're not talking kids boppy. And I think that was just a lot of the process, was just trying to let people see what we had in our head. And then come the end of 2018, I was recovering from some health issues and I really thought the idea had died. And I had kidney cancer and was in bed for 14 weeks. And I really thought it was a great try. And at the end of that year, I said, God, you're going to have to show me what you want me to do. Is this what you still want me to be a part of? I think all of us get on that journey with the projects we become passionate about. Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? I feel really passionate about it. And I think several weeks later, we got the call that we had an investor who loved the idea and was ready to fund us. So,
wow. And how did this? Was this an investor that had heard of it a long time prior and was just now coming around to it, or did someone else get it to him? Or
was an investor that had a relationship with my co-producer, and and they had been working on another idea, and he brought this to her, and she loved it, and so really just kind of worked and was very supportive and came to the table giving us the green light. So beginning of 19, we started really trying to put the team together. And we really wanted to be intentional. We wanted to be as aggressive as possible in bringing the right people to the table in the music side, the choreography side, and definitely the directing side. And we just knew this was a different type of film, that the feeling that we wanted the music to have on screen needed to be curated by somebody that really got that. And, we were big fans of Greatest Showman, and that director came from the music video world. And so we really felt like that approach could be really smart. And Roman and I had worked together 20 years ago, and his name first came to mind. He is probably become one of the most prolific directors in the music video world in Nashville, to toot his horn. He's done Carrie Underwood and Taylor Swift and everybody. You can see the little moon man behind him. So he was definitely the first that came to mind. And so our relationship kind of came back together, and we pitched this idea to him. And I think he first, well, I'll let him speak, but I think he first saw the title Church Camp.
And I think, like Gabe said, like everybody else, like, this is going to be super cheesy.
Now, Roman, was the script done before, when they first came to you? Did they come with you with a script, or was it just the idea?
No, there was a first script, and I read it, and I did feel, I wanted to inject, a lot of myself onto the script, and I had a lot of ideas and stuff. And, it was really important to me that we make this different than typical faith films. Like, I wanted it to be something that everybody could see themselves in, and it wasn't, so on the nose. And people would see it and not think immediately like it was just another typical faith film. So for me, I really wanted it to be very real. I wanted the teenagers to be struggling with the same stuff I struggled with, as when it came to faith and all that stuff, all those questions, and not to be afraid to put those questions out there and be real with them. So I came back and I was like, this is a really good idea. It's like, I would really like to do, a rewrite on it. And we talked about what I'd like to do. And I kind of presented what the changes and things I would like to do in an outline. And then I went and did a director rewrite, and just, I think, took it to, they had all the bones and everything there. And I just kind of injected a lot of myself in it and really tried to, cause I will always be like a teenager inside. I mean, I love all the CW shows. I mean, I'm basically a teenage girl in a man's body who loves all that stuff. But I'm also a huge nerd. I like Legos and Star Wars and stuff. But Yeah, just injected. I wanted it to have a very realness to it, so that when people, heard church camp or heard what the movie was about, when they sat down and watched it, they were surprised by it, and that's what we constantly get from it. So, did that. I signed on, and yeah, we just went from there.
Yeah,
And sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, Roman. I'm sorry.
And we from there, we started casting and all that stuff, and trying to find the perfect cast. And
which for a film like this, it's the most important. Like, you have to have,
yeah,
for a film that's going to resonate, particularly with teenagers, who are going to be watching a musical where they can identify themselves in a character, but
right.
they've got to be able to sing and dance. They can't just be. They got to be able to sing, dance, act, look like, and have a kind of a bit of a charisma. And man, your cast just jumps off the screen.
Yeah, we got really lucky with our cast. I mean, all of them are great. And we, when you're casting, you start to find the first couple of pieces, and then you start trying to find the other pieces that fit with them. How are they all going to be together, and how are they all going to feel together? And, we really wanted there to be a variety, as far as representation, and, bringing Sherry in and Jabril, and, just having, Kat, I had to have the ginger representation because that's important to me. But yeah, just
this is an audio podcast
okay.
Yes. That's that not everyone will get that joke.
I am gingery. But yeah, we found this great cast, and I think as a director, for me, when we really started, I wanted time with them in the beginning, and it was important for me that all these, we call them the kids, even though they're all in their early 20s, but it was important for me for them to become friends off screen as well as on, because all that was going to translate to the screen. So I wanted them to learn each other's quirks and how they talk to each other, and to come up with that shorthand, that you just have when you know somebody really well. I mean, Gabe and I can give each other a look and instantly know how the other one's feeling. So, and that all plays on camera. When we were not shooting or rehearsing, I would say, okay, tonight everybody's coming over to my house, and we're just going to watch a movie and hang out and eat. And we would hang out and just go do stuff, because I wanted them to become a little pack and get to know each other. And I think all of that really translates when you watch those relationships on screen.
Yeah, we got really lucky. We looked high and low for this picturesque camp, and we knew what we wanted in our head, this quintessential, backdrop for those that have been to camp. And we also wanted it to be massive in scope and have this huge, dining hall. Like, we had all these things, and it looked great on paper, but when we started to try to find it, it wasn't, it was a lot harder. And lo and behold, we find our way out to a camp literally 30 minutes from where I'm sitting. And we had been speaking to the Christian Camp and Conference Association, the CCCA, which is an entity that pretty much, if you're a Christian camp or conference, you're a part of. And they were pointing us to a bunch of different places and have been incredible partners. And but this one wasn't on their list. And so we went out there and met the most kind, supportive camp owner director at the YMCA Camp Woodywoggan that you could ever imagine. And he was a huge movie buff, Jeff Marriage, and just fell in love with this idea of being able to celebrate camp. And he pretty much opened his doors to us, and not only let us be there for 20 days to shoot, but gave us 4 weeks beforehand to pretty much create a camp before the camp. And Roman was our fearless leader, our camp director for the cast. And
Roman, you were the camp director.
Yeah, next time I'm going to make sure I have a whistle. I didn't realize I was the camp director. I had a whistle.
But I wish we had more BTS of that whole process, because they literally let us take over buildings. And so we built a recording booth in a closet in their little music room. We had moving glass walls so that we can turn any room into a dance studio. And we had our PO in the craft room craft barn is what it was called. And we just lived at camp for 2 months, and the kids had a daily camp schedule. They'd be like with Roman for rehearsals, and they'd go into the studio to do their vocals, and then they'd go with our choreographer to do choreography, and then we would do a fun activity at night. And so it really turned into this incredible bonding experience. Bailey, who's grown up on sets, had never been to camp, so she thought she was potentially walking onto set.
She was walking onto camp,
and she walked onto real camp, and her expression was just priceless, because she was like, I've never really gotten a chance to do this. So the thrill that you see in Bailey is true, because she had never really had a chance to be a kid, like that, which I think all shows. And then we had Adam Watts, there, who comes from just an incredible pedigree of music with Camp Rock and High School Musical, and, a Disney writer. And so he had pretty much had all the tracks ready beforehand. So he walked in, getting all the vocals together and then finishing it all up on site. And so he was there pounding out vocals for hours with them. Melina Runas came, and she just made magic happen in literally 4 weeks with 1 week of choreography rehearsal. It was unbelievable. She brought a crew from all over the country.
But the whole camp was just like scheduled. Like one of the things I remember the most is like when we first came in, I mean, the camp is huge, all these buildings and stuff, and something was going on everywhere. And there was this main camp schedule that was like this alien graph. And I first got the alien graph, and Tamron, our line producer, and Gabe learned how to read this alien graph.
Well, I created the alien graph.
You did create the alien graph with Mark at camp. And so it was basically every single location on camp, the times, who was there. Like, it was insane. Like, you needed like what do you call it when you have the little thing that shows you? Yeah, it was nuts. And so the first time I saw it, I was like, what is this madness? Like, how do you read this? And Gabe sat down with me and taught me the ways of the madness. And then I knew how to read it. And there were literally like 4 of us that knew how to read this crazy graph.
Well, we had an active camp happening around us. So they still had camp happening. They still had retreats happening.
So you had to schedule around making sure that,
So when we were in the dining hall, we had to be in there when like on the 2 days that there wasn't a camp on site. And when we were, on the beach, we had to be there on the 3 days that nobody was on the beach. So everything was this constant calculation of working around an active camp. And we did it. We did not have one day where we were on top of each other.
Okay. I want to actually keep going with the story, but I actually want to talk just a little bit about, I want to nerd out for my producing friends here, because this sounds like a pre-pro nightmare / joy for people who really like pre-pro, right? Like, so basically you had 4 weeks to, if I'm hearing you right, you had 4 weeks to basically rehearse all the choreography and music and dance and get everything with everybody all together that 4 weeks before you started filming. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct.
And so
there were also like days, I remember when all of our production was in the craft barn at camp. And I remember there was one point we had to move out of the craft barn for 2 days because some nuns were coming in to do pottery. And then when they were done doing pottery, we would go back to the craft barn. So I remember we'd slide all of our like crafty and snacks and stuff in the fridge over this corner, and I'd be like, those nuns better not touch our snacks. These are production snacks. We're coming back. But it was stuff like that, like just a constant kind of weird sometimes times that you would have to move and shift, but it all worked because of his mad graph.
Well, I think my years of artist management, my years of touring, my years of doing schedules with artists, and all came into play where we basically created a complicated schedule between all of our 3 main departments that just worked. And I think if we had to take cast to an offsite studio or take cast to an offsite rehearsal room, it would have been impossible because we were only, I think, truly able to get everything into the time period that we had because it was literally 10, 20 feet all from one another. And
So,
yeah.
I'm sorry. So how many people were were in production helping you with pre-production?
Oh,
In pre-production, we had a very limited staff. And our second AD didn't come in. Our first AD and second AD didn't come in until the week before production started.
Okay, good. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I want people to hear. So it was like, it was you. I don't know who else on your producing team.
We had our line producer, myself. I think we had maybe a couple PAs. Really during rehearsals, we had our two other producers on site. We had our music team. Then we had our choreography team that came in the last 2 weeks.
And you had to have contracts done 4 weeks out, right? Because you were bringing talent in, so your contracts had to be done already, right?
Yep. So we had pretty much all of our talent documentation getting buttoned up like the week before rehearsals were supposed to start. Because we did casting here. We did casting in LA. Our casting directors went to Atlanta. I think they went to one other market as well. So we just got.
And Bev Holloway, amazing.
Yeah,
I love Bev. She's a fantastic casting director.
And Regina Moore also helped.
Regina Moore here in Nashville, and they were just spectacular and just knew the heartbeat of this film, knew what we needed. And so we actually found Kevin in LA, Bailey in LA, Jabril in LA. We saw the self-tape of Kat Connor Sterling.
She's from Memphis.
Who is from Memphis. She wasn't able to make Nashville, so she sent in the most amazing self-tape. We had everybody on the floor. So
the sad thing is like the scene that she did, like, didn't end up making the movie, and it's so funny. And if we get to make more A Week Away movies, I want that scene.
The cat is Presley.
Yes, Presley.
You saw a little tiny bit of it when she has the peas on her face.
Yeah.
But we hadn't met Kat until she showed up on for rehearsals.
Yeah, and Ian was from Nashville.
And Ian, we met out of Nashville. Our choreographer came out of LA, and she brought dancers from all over the country. So she was doing, they called it a skeleton crew. So she was rehearsing and doing choreography in LA with her skeleton crew, sending us videos to see what they were doing. And that's how we were pretty much going back and forth, getting ready for her to show up with choreography done. And then Adam was also creating and working, and then really finished all of it here once we got here. So once everybody got here in that 4-week period, it was game on. I mean, we had a short window to get everybody prepped.
And it was 20 shoot days. How many shoot days?
21.
21 shoot days. And then how 10-hour days, 12-hour days? What were you shooting? Because everyone was over 18, right? So you didn't have to. Okay.
Yeah. Usually 12-hour days, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did everyone live on the camp over the 21 days, or people were coming in and out?
No, I know the dancers lived on the camp in the cabins. Cast were in a hotel off camp. Of course, people that lived here, like I slept in my own bed because I lived 15 minutes from the camp, which was amazing.
That's got to be so nice. Yes.
It was so nice. We were also editing the movie in my office at my house.
Wow.
Production. Wow. So I would basically bring a drive home every day. I would look through stuff when I came home obsessively, and then I would leave it on the desk for the editors to come in the morning.
Now, Roman, is this the first feature film you've directed?
No, I did. I've done another one called Summer Forever that was with Disney and Relativity.
Okay, got it. Okay, because I was going to say, if this was your first feature and you got to shoot 15 minutes from your house and edit in your office, you're forever spoiled.
No, it was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, we looked, like Gabe said, we looked all over the place at camps and happened to find this one. And you walk in and you're like, okay, it's huge and there's tons of stuff to do and it's amazing and I can sleep in my bed. Yes, I'm in. I mean, it's the same lake I grew up on. It was crazy.
Go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
And when production started, I mean, one of the things I remember most when people started showing up, like it felt like there were fewer and fewer golf carts. So it's like golf cart wars started. Like I need to get somewhere. Where's the golf cart? Oh, so and so just took it. So that became like a big thing. Like, and then probably halfway through production, it was like you drop your key in this box, you sign it out. Like it became a whole thing, the golf cart thing. So
the battle for the who gets the rights, who gets rights of first refusal to the.
Yeah,
to
and
the
there was
golf
also
cart.
the one really great fast golf cart, and all the other ones were slow. So Gabe would always take the fast one if he knew I wanted it. So and vice versa for everyone. Like if you could get the fast one, and if you knew you're on the fast one, you'd pass all the others, just wave. Like I want the fast golf cart.
So Gabe, were you guys fully financed day one, or were you still raising funds?
We were fully financed.
You were fully financed. And what about what was the original? And I'm sorry, let's take a step back. When did you guys film this?
We filmed this in August, September of 19.
Okay, so this was pre-COVID.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What was the distribution plan and strategy at that point?
I think our hope was that we would get this film in initial edit and then be able to start shopping it around. You know, we had some initial conversations with several distributors. We had actually had an initial conversation with Netflix. And I think everybody was intrigued, but everybody wanted to see what we brought to the table. And so this really was the ultimate, like, you got to prove it. You got to prove what you see in your head.
Yeah.
I think everybody kind of saw what we were wanting to do, but were ready for us to deliver it. And
theatrical was a legitimate option that you guys were looking at, because that was the traditional path, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. We came into first quarter of 20 ready to have multiple conversations, and we did. We had multiple conversations, talking about theatrical, talking about partners, talking about different ways to do this. We were on Winter Jam. Winter Jam's a major Christian tour, arena tour, and we had a live set happening. Kevin, our lead, was out doing a 5-minute set promoting the film because we thought we were going to potentially have a release at the end of 20. And we were seeing this response from this audience, just this crazy response. And so we were shooting all this footage to be able to show in our distribution, conversations of like, I think we got it. Like, and the response wasn't just mild. I mean, having done touring for a long time, there are a few moments you walk into an arena and the air gets just sucked out of the room when Kevin came out on stage, and then we had dive footage and great adventure footage and Place in This World, and the crowd was just crazy. So it was really this fun, almost test audience opportunity to have, where we could really see, I think we got it. Like, I think we got what we were hoping for. Like you said, our hope was that our generation would get these songs and jump up and be excited about kind of what they were hearing, but that also this younger generation would receive these as brand new songs. And I think to be able to have some of that content and bring back was really a gift for us. Most filmmakers wouldn't really be able to have that opportunity as we were walking into meetings. And then Netflix really stepped up and fell in love with it.
That's great. That's really smart too. I mean, and what a great platform with Winter Jam to be able to do something like that and to have that immediate response and feedback. And that's got to look great, like you said, for distributors, look great for all kinds of, for all kinds of reasons. For you, Roman, you did, I'm teasing you about this, but I'm kind of not, because the parallels are a little uncanny. Did you set out to find the next Zac Efron when casting Kevin? Because I know a lot of social media is talking about this, and but I mean, obviously your film has got to hang on those two main characters, but particularly him, because it's his journey. And so we're really following him. And I mean, this kid is just, I keep saying kid. I know he's not a kid. He plays one on TV, but
Literally.
literally, he was great. And I just, he was a wonderful, it was a wonderful performance by him. And I'm just curious about your casting process for your two male leads. You know, Bailey has a little bit of that following. And so did she come to the project first, and then the whole process of finding him? What was it? What was it like?
Well, we were in LA doing casting, and literally live casting where people would come in and read for the parts. And Beverly just tried to cast Bailey for another film and showed us a video from her previous taping for that film. And it's like, yes, bring her in. If she wants to come in, I'd love to see her. And Kevin had actually tried out for Sean originally, and he was amazing. I was like, we found our Sean. He's so good. And so then Kevin asked if he could read for Will. And so we're like, yeah, absolutely. And so he came in and killed Will. It's like, great. Now we don't have a Sean, but we have a Will. So Kevin quickly climbed to the top of the board for Will. And then I think Bailey then came in, and she was amazing. We had several people come in for George, and it started to become a thing of, okay, we kind of are leaning towards these two people for Will and Avery. Now who fits best with them for George, and who gives us kind of that fun, quirky edge? Same with Kat, like who would be fun with Jabril? It really starts where you find the people that you really like, but then you start trying to mix and match and figure out what the puzzle looks like. With Ian, we were doing another live casting in Nashville, and Ian came in and tried out for Sean and was just amazing. And one of the things I loved about Ian is he came in and he's the one that kept calling them like, this way, gentlemen, and this way, gentle. Like he added that. And I just thought that's just so smart, because he's kind of the old soul, trying to be the proper I'm a man now guy in a weird, soft way. Yeah. And he was also just very charismatic and unexpected, also a ginger. So that got him in. I've just realized there's two. Wow. Got the quota. But he came in and he was awesome. And he also is a very kind of different look from everybody else. So we really tried to have a nice variety in looks and also in personalities. And you really try and figure out who fits together. And even when we'd kind of picked our favorite Wills and Averys, we kind of had them come in and do chemistry reads together, where we had our top Wills and our top Averys, and we'd have them come in and read together and see who felt good together. And Bailey and Kevin were great. And we just had a lot of fun on set, and they really worked well together. And we became a small little camp family.
But you're telling me there were no conversations where, man, this kid, he has a little bit of Zac Efron.
Oh yes, the Zac Efron thing that did come up several times. I think Beverly mentioned it. There was always conversation. Well, is it weird we're doing a musical and we kind of like little Zac Efron over here, and he is. I mean, he does look like Zac Efron, and sometimes he looks a lot like him, and sometimes not.
It's funny, I don't see it. Like maybe it's just me.
Yeah,
it's this weird thing where it's like, Roman, you nailed it. It's some scenes he looks like him. I don't know what it is. It's like some scenes,
angle,
and then yeah.
But Kevin also has this, and I tell him this all the time. He has just like the most amazing smile. Like when he really lights up, like his smile is just amazing. Like it's just an amazing smile.
But that confrontation scene, that was the seal. That sealed the deal for both of them. That very end on the road. We didn't give that scene to everybody, but when they came back in, and I remember when Bailey did that scene and when Kevin read that, we knew we found them. It was that, I think it was seen that they could also carry that moment.
Yeah.
Which we knew was going to be a really important moment in the film.
Yeah.
And could they also do that as much as they could do the fun and the light and the dancing? Like, could they also really carry the heart of what we wanted this film? And when they both did it, we were sold. We had found them.
And it's kind of one of those moments where, you have these papers in front of you where you've been making notes and you have headshots and stuff. And you're sitting there very cool and you're really blown away, but you don't want to show it. And so they walk out and then you just throw your papers in the air. It's like, well, that's Avery. I mean, I can't say that while she's in here, but you need to go get her for me.
Yeah.
Like, just make this happen. And that's the way it was. I mean, when you know.
Yeah.
It's just that easy, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of usually know within, 5 minutes whether somebody's right or not, whether they're a contender. But yeah, they were great. And they just fit. I mean, all the pieces came together. So
let me ask you a question about you guys made a very strategic, creative choice. And Gabe, a little bit to the point of even the original concept. I'm curious, why did you decide to go with, I feel like it was even over half of the songs were covers. Is that right? There's only 3 or 4 originals. Is that right?
There's 4. Mm-hmm.
4 originals. And why did you guys decide to go with covers instead of an entire original soundtrack? Was there a consideration that you guys at one point did you consider doing all original? And I'm just curious what the I think hindsight's 2020, probably pretty smart on your part. It's just for marketing and for parents having a connection to the content. But I'm just wondering the why that, what was behind that creative choice.
I think we came from just being huge fans of Christian music, and I think we knew what that meant to us on our journey and the soundtrack those songs played in our life. And so, the initial conversation, I think, just started there. What if we reinvented these songs so that we could also speak to our own generation, that they're that just as excited to introduce these songs to their own kids. But we tried also to be very intentional, and Adam and the writing team were so great at this, but let's just not do a simple cover of it. Like, let's reinvent it so that for a new audience who never heard Stephen Curtis Chapman's real original version, they would have no idea. So I think it was that challenge that our music team really just nailed. Was we did do covers, but we also tried to completely reinvent them. And then we really kept those original moments for the right moments. Like, we knew we wanted to say something in that good enough scene that probably didn't exist in a cover. And so that was always one we knew we needed to write for. And the Where I Belong scene on the road and the ending song. Like, we also, though, wanted to make sure we just didn't shoehorn in a song because it was a great cover. And so I think that was a lot of our balance, like using those right covers, but also knowing when an original song was really the better choice.
So did you know that you were going to get the rights to them already? Like, was it the song, then the scene, or did you write the scene? Like for instance, Dive, right? So with Dive, did you know you wanted to use that song, or did you write the scene and then go, this would be a great place? Oh, that Stephen Curtis Chapman song, great. But then, because part of the problem that we have when we teach screenwriting and things like that is be careful with using songs that you can't get the rights to, right? That are going to be too buried into your story it's going to change something. So did you chicken or the egg there? Like, did you know you had the rights, or what was?
I'll say something right here. Gabe is the getting licenses to songs fairy godmother.
Oh.
He knows the music world. He's lived in it. He knows everybody. He can get anybody on the phone. And so if you want to get a song, you want to know Gabriel Vasquez, not Gabe. Gabe can't.
Gabriel. So this is when you know Gabriel.
Gabriel's amazing. But no, he did. And when in the original script, they definitely had songs in there. They definitely had a Great Adventure in there, Place in This World, Dive was in there. And there were some others that got changed. So I think, chicken or egg. I think it's kind of a little of both. I think there were some that planned, and then there were some that evolved and turned into different songs along the way.
But it's a great question, because this was probably one of the most strategic parts we had to work on, because we could not shoot until we had clearance on those songs, which is very backwards. When you're typically doing song placement, you finish it and then you go back, and we had to have all that ready beforehand, because we couldn't shoot a whole song and then obviously not be able to get the clearances for it. So we definitely started with pillars that we wrote around, like Roman said. And so moments like Dive were curated for Dive. Moments for like Great Adventure were curated for Great Adventure. I think Place in This World was always one that we knew had to have its moment. And then others kind of found its way. Others came in and we moved around and kind of played with. So it was a little bit of both. But then, and so we had an incredible music admin. Ken Johnson came on board, who's been in admin for years and years and years and years with me. And so we had this constant white sheet of songs that we were out with the publishers getting clearances on, and making sure that they were all going to be cool. And Capitol Music was probably one of the largest publishers that held most of the rights. And we started conversations with them probably at the beginning of the year, knowing we needed to give enough time to really have that ready and buttoned up before we committed to it going into even, we had to have that pretty much buttoned up before our music guy started recording music, which happened months even before we got on set. So it was a really interesting dance, but I think because of the music background I came from, that was very helpful. And Ken, and knowing the world inside and out as well, we were really able to get everybody to get excited and give us the clearances and give us the pre-approvals that we needed to go into it.
And something else I think people may not realize when you're doing a musical, when you're doing a normal feature and you're just doing needle drops, you can kind of pick those after or during. You don't really have to plan all this around the movie. But when you're doing a musical, like all those tracks pretty much have to be almost mastered before you start shooting, because we're shooting to them. So Adam and his team had to, that's why we were recording vocals during rehearsals, because he had to create these, not the final masters, but pretty close to where they would match what we were shooting. So there was a lot of music work that had to be done before we even rolled on the first day, which is a lot of work.
Yeah, for sure. That's a lot of those pre-pro nerds. We love that. We love all that work. So look, movies are made of moments, and I judge films by the moments that I remember that hang on to me. Mm-hmm. And there's a moment in your film that's really nice, you guys. And Roman, well, first of all, for people who haven't seen the film yet, and we highly encourage you guys to watch it this week on Netflix to get that data in there for them. But Roman, you shot the heck out of this film. I mean, I don't know what this camp looks like, but the film looks great. And
thank you.
It like this film looks like anything else made by a major studio that's also playing on Netflix right now. And I don't want to make this about bashing Christian films, but oh well, I will. This doesn't look like a Christian film. It doesn't. Here's the truth: what we understand in the subgenre that is Christian film, this film doesn't look like it's in that genre. It doesn't feel like it's in that genre. And yet it's the most overt Christian film I've seen in a long time. I mean, it is, I mean, it's like, boom, immediately, they start, I think that it's the very first song. You have Sherry Shepherd singing about the Bible with the great event. Like, it's like, boom, we just start out right away. And so you have all those things going. But for me, there's one moment for me. There's a couple, but there's one I want to talk to you. One in particular I want to talk to you about, and that is the the campfire scene. That God Only Knows Awesome God medley scene moment is really well done. And
thank you.
There's a real beauty to it because you did something that smart filmmakers do, which is you connected it to the emotion of what the characters were going through. It's a character beat. So that scene is an actual character beat. But the way you film it, the kind of the way the songs play out and the way you chose to blend them together, it's just a really smart scene. I wonder if you could take me through the process of creating that scene. What was the origin of that scene, and who had the idea of combining those two songs? And then just some of your thoughts in designing that scene.
Well, I mean, when we, the original script did have a campfire scene in it, but it was more, typical church camp, kind of reading Bible verses and stuff like that. And we went and did the rewrite. Like we knew, Gabe's very good about, we have to capture these moments because these are moments that campers remember. So we have to have these staple things. And the campfire night, the kind of worship night was that moment. But it was always important for me that it not just be we're around a campfire doing Bible verses stuff. Like I wanted to move the story forward. And we'd always talked about Awesome God. And I want to say Awesome God was maybe in the original. I can't remember. But Steve Barnett knows King of Country very well and had brought up God Only Knows, using that there. And so we talked around. I was like, it's just not really right. And so then I kind of had the idea of Awesome God was great, but Will's character's really in kind of a dark, weird moment. And so whatever we did there had to capture that dark moment because it wasn't honest for him to just jump into Awesome God. Like I wanted to feel his character go through something there. And so I remember coming in, we were having meetings and stuff about this. And I remember saying, this might sound crazy, but I kind of played them side by side. And I can direct music all day and dance around my house and listen to music, but I'm not the music guy. So I don't know beats and all this stuff. Gabe's always having to explain. I mean, I've done hundreds of music videos, but Gabe can still say, oh, that's the this. And I'm like, what's that? It's like, it's where the song does this. But hey, man, I was like, this might sound crazy, but what if we merge these two? Like did a mashup of these? Because I think it'll be cool, but I don't know. It might work. And that way we can get inside of Will's head and have kind of this darkness and this sadness while this joy is going on around him. And it's a very real moment. I mean, we've all been in a moment like that. And so, Adam went and tried it, and the first iteration was really good. I know that we tweaked it a bunch, but it just worked. And then when we were on camp, like recording the masters, I remember one day Gabe came to me and he's like, because originally it was just going to be Kevin singing the God Only Knows part, the Will character. Like Bailey wasn't going to sing any. And I remember Gabe coming to me and and he knows me very well. I mean, he comes over and he's like, hey, I want to plant something in your head as an idea, and planted the idea. And I think he and Bailey had talked about it of Bailey singing some of that song too. And of course, I jump off my creative ledge. Me, it's like, that's not right. That's not gonna work. That's crazy. It's crazy. And he's like, well, let's just try it. Let's talk about it. Let's try it. And so I'm also a very rational person. And I tell anybody, if you can talk me into it and it's the right thing, I will listen. If you can prove to me that it's the right thing or just talk me into it. And they did. They talked me into it and it was amazing. So I'm so glad we did that. And that, Bailey and Gabe pushed me in that direction. And I think Adam too. I think Adam wanted to do it. And then it just worked. And we had this amazing scene that just is on the edge of like, you have all these kids who are in this place of connection and this one kid who's lost. And also what I love about that scene is, Avery Bailey's character, you also see inside of her, like, and Bailey really, I will give Bailey credit for, that piece of Avery. Like I remember when we were early into rehearsals and stuff, and we were talking about the garden scene, and she brought up the thing, I feel like we should really dive into the idea of Avery being perfect, like everybody thinking she's perfect. And that's what she deals with, because a lot of girls deal with that. And so me not being a teen girl or ever experienced that, you know, Bailey and I really talked about that. And so we kind of evolved Avery's character, you know, that she was also fractured in a way, like we all are, even if on the surface we seem perfect, we're not. I mean, we still have doubts and pain and all this stuff she was going through. So when we kind of, you know, those two songs collided in that moment, and then you have these amazing up people, and then you have these two people who are in their own moment feeling the same thing at the same time. It's kind of incredible, and it just really worked. And Bailey and Kevin both like just killed that scene. I mean, and that was a really hard night. We shot that night and the tribunal on the same night, in one night. We went right from pick your team, Dave's dressed as Braveheart, everybody cheering, to that. So,
Wow.
and, you know, racing the giant ball of fire in the sky, hoping
Wow.
it wouldn't show its ugly head until we needed it to. But
Wow.
yeah, it was a really powerful night too. And
What I love
a lot
about
of
that
people-
scene as well is I just think it's such a great example of collaboration. Like everybody listening, everybody giving their part.
Absolutely.
You know, all the producers were full on hard in. You know, Steve had been moved by that verse and he brought that. Like everybody was just really bringing their own self to it. And I think that's what you see is just this beautiful collaboration. And Bailey was so adamant about wanting to show a side of a believer, you know, a non-perfection side, a side that's struggling. And I think that was such a great addition as well, you know, and Kevin was, you know, just in it. Like I just remember him just being in that moment because that was such a pivotal part. I mean, we even had long conversations on when will Kevin stand up? When will you see him join in? And so
up to the point where we were shooting it. And I was thinking he's going to stand up at this. I remember Steve was like, well, I think he should stand up here. And like literally while we were shooting it, it's okay, we'll shoot it this way and this way. And they were right. Like where I wanted him to stand up was so wrong. It just wasn't the right place. It was.
It was a great collaboration. And that's what I love about that is just, you know, Steve, Alan, myself, Bailey, Kev, Adam, Roman, like that's where I just really think you see the beauty of all of those hearts and minds coming together.
And from a storytelling perspective, and also from a spiritual perspective, the you know, one of the things that this genre isn't known for is showing duality.
Yes.
Showing subtext. And you had that in this scene. And I think that even for my kids watching it, for teenagers, my kids aren't teenagers yet, thank God. But for the audience for this film in particular, to see a vulnerability, to see an honesty, to see in the midst of, I think you said it so well. I think, Roman, you said in the midst of joy, to have someone with questions, to have someone with doubts, fears, anxieties. That's real. That's a real thing for all of us. And to show just a kind of a nice, quiet, intentional moment like that, there's a real authenticity to it that I think will resonate with your audience, maybe even much further than you guys maybe even would realize or intended. I just think that there's something there. And I was really impressed with that. So it's a great moment. And the song's great. Like that out of everything, I'm like, I want to own that. I want to go find that medley on iTunes.
I mean, it was always really important for all of us that this had a very real feeling to it. Like none of us wanted to talk down to teenagers. I mean, being a teenager is so hard and there's so much doubt. And I remember when I was a teenager having those questions and questioning God and questioning my faith and, you know, all of that. And so I think, you know, we really pushed each other in each direction and we came into a really good place. But just, you know, being real with teenagers, being real with the audience. Like it's not all perfect. It's hard sometimes, but you can get through it. And if you trust people and believe in yourself, you can get through this. But it's not the yellow brick road. Sometimes it's hard to get there. But you allow people into your life, you'll get there.
Yeah.
So,
And by the way, and then from a technical standpoint, how many people were in that scene? It was like 40 people.
I think like 4. We just duplicated them. No, that's a joke.
CG item. CG
There were a
item.
lot of people. Gabe called in like a youth group. There were a lot of people.
But
I would
Like
say
40 plus.
40 plus, yeah.
50,
Like
50, something like that.
Yeah, my point to that is, if anyone who's ever done anything like this knows, that's a hard, that's hard to block. Like you did a really good job filming crowd scenes are way more difficult than people realize. And you have that space that you're wearing. You have a fire going. You have like, there's all these other kind of components that you did a really nice job with the blocking and the shooting of that scene.
Right. Well, thank you very much. I mean, we did have enough people for that one, but a funny crowd story for the movie is when we did the talent show. We were supposed to have 200 extras show up that night.
Yep.
And 82 showed up. So that's where Kamikaze Music Video Film School came into play, because James King, the DP, and I, who've worked with each other several times, we were basically herding people. And, and everybody was in the beginning of the night, like producers and other people were freaking out. What are we going to do? We can't fill this whole big space. And James and I, we're just going to herd them. We'll just move them. We'll move them around like we do in music videos when we don't have a budget. And we did, and you would never know that we did not have the full 200 people there. So, but that was an interesting night, because I remember the moment. It's like, how many people showed up? No more people are coming. So
that reminds me of I shot something once where I had a funeral scene, and I told him I didn't want a lot of extras in the pews. And we had a choir on the stage, and then when we get there, they only had a literal few, and I was like, "What have you done? Like, I have to have more people than this." So we took the choir, so that when you reverse it, the choir's wearing robes on the stage, but when they're in street clothes, and so you never knew that my extras.
That's the way you do it. You're the smart man. I would have put wigs on them. I would have done whatever I had to do.
So the editing process. So you shoot 20 days. Did you have to do any reshoots or pickups or anything?
No, we didn't do any reshoots or pickups. I mean, we didn't do any pickups or reshoots. So we pretty much edited while we were shooting, just so, that's just a smart way to do. And then we had like a month of editing after that to get the first director's cut done.
Any major changes in the edit, or are we watching what you shot?
Pretty much watching what we shot. I mean, the biggest thing for me, like when I personally write, I tend to write long. Mm-hmm. So the page count does not end up matching what's on screen. And so the first cut ended up being like 70 minutes. So me and Parker, the editor, had to figure out how to add another 10 minutes. Like there was never supposed to be a big house montage. So that thing came to birth because I needed time. And so I was like, what can I do? I need to get this at least to 90 minutes. And we did Warrior Day, the big house montage. I called Gabe and I was like, I know this song's supposed to be at the end of the movie, but can I use it again in like a montage? So we expanded it, and it ended up being a lot of fun. I mean, all that footage in Warrior Day was just honestly supposed to be a little bit of B-roll here and there. We just turned it.
It was going to be in Dive, remember? Wasn't it originally going to be part of Dive?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And so, Gabe, the film is done. It's edited. You guys are really happy with it. So take us through because there's so many people who are going to be listening to this podcast going, how do I get my film on Netflix? And it's like, well, first make a great film. So,
magic.
Yeah, it's magic. But for you, what was the process of talking to Netflix, having them watch it, and getting that response that they wanted it?
Well, we had a conversation very early on with Netflix, so they were aware, and I think watching the family division, and very excited, I think, to see what we brought back. And then we brought on CAA as well. So CAA came on, their sales division came on board to continue those conversations. And then that's, it was between that relationship and then the relationship that was already at hand with Netflix that really, we ushered a cut back into them, and they fell in love with it. They just, I think it resonated with them. I think it was where they wanted to be. I think the family division was really looking for something like this. The head of the family division came from Disney. And so I think she was excited to see something of that feeling and style from her past. And so really from that moment on, they were just incredible partners. Like they came on board and really made the film their own. They came alongside us. We added an additional song, the whole opening, Let's Go Make a Memory. We brought on additional posts. They brought on, the guys that just finished Spielberg's West Side Story. They brought on to mix our film as well.
That's great.
So,
that's because I'm watching that title sequence and I'm going, this is an expensive title sequence.
It was a nice sequence, but that was a lot of their partnership. They really felt, which I'm really glad we did, that we needed to start the film and you knew what it was, that immediately it felt like a musical.
I know you can't talk. I know you probably can't talk, hard numbers, but from a investor perspective to kind of going forward, it was you guys were very satisfied with the overall deal and how it all turned out.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it turned out to be a great situation for everybody. And this was my second film. And, I had a co-executive producer role on a film before. And so for myself, and I think everybody's trying to, have a successful first foot forward. It definitely has been that, for myself and for our producing partners over at Monarch. I think we would all call this a phenomenal success, and I think Netflix has been incredible partners, and have been very blessed for them to come on board. I think of everything that's happened this year that we're all very aware of. Even separate from that, if that hadn't happened, I think Netflix is definitely hands down the best approach for this type of film.
No, I smell a sequel. I don't. Surely you guys are so strategic. You've already got the script written, ready to go for the sequel, right? Well,
we left, as you can tell, we left a lot of little gems to potentially pick up on, and we're all very excited. I think we're hoping that we continue to see a great response. I think that will guide Netflix's decision on if they want to move forward. We would love to do it, obviously, I think, but so far I feel like this community and those that are consuming it are really loving it. And so I hope that gives us the chance.
And now I have a question regarding that I know a lot of people want to know, which is, I mentioned earlier, the film is overtly Christian. I mean, there's no ambiguity whatsoever with this film, with the story. It is straightforward as you could get. I know some people want to know, was there any comments made with Netflix or maybe any other distributors that you were negotiating with prior that maybe wanted things toned down, that maybe were uncomfortable? Did you have to deal with any of that, or no, that people were completely open with the product that you were delivering them?
Surprisingly not. I think we had maybe prepared ourselves for potentially that sort of conversation, but I think the film is what it is. Like, you see it is what it is. You can't cut around entire songs, and I think what we really did try to do, though, is let the songs carry a lot of the faith and not try to add faith on top of faith. We were very also intentional with that. So let's let kids talk like kids. And most kids don't talk very Christianese in everything that they say. So let them be kids, let them have real conversations, and then let this environment and let the music and let what naturally would happen at church camp play into the faith side of things. So you can't ignore, you can't not see it, but we also tried not to add it on top of itself, if that makes sense. And then we really took a lot of time. I appreciate you kind of bringing up the fireside scene, the campfire scene. We took a lot of time also in the garden scene, in the confrontation scene, and trying to be really real in those conversations. And that was a constant voice from my own 14 and 15-year-olds, like, Dad, please don't talk like 60-year-old men. Like, please. And I remember being even at a writing table with all of us, and we were talking about that garden scene and where they're talking about faith, and Will says, "You believe that 100%?" And calling up my 15-year-old and saying, "Okay, what would you say to this? If someone said that to you," and she would say, "I would say this." And so we really tried to not lose
That's great
contact.
And I was like, oh my God, we have to really call the 15-year-old again. Really tired of it.
But I think that was, I feel like that constant compass for us, we tried to stay really true to. And I think when our partners in Netflix saw it, they loved it for that. And they never pushed back on it. They were never this, big, bad mainstream partner that some may think they may be, or they're going to want to sexualize it, or whatever you think someone's going to potentially want to do. Never happened. They supported it. They loved it. They poured into it. They encouraged it. And I think that's,
sorry, go ahead.
I just think that will be is a huge part of the success of this, is instead of trying to make it something it wasn't, they really let it be everything that it was meant to be. Celebrated our iconic artists, celebrated, all of our partners in music. And I think even if you see from the marketing side, they're not shying away from pulling those clips and pulling all those things, and they're not. And I think that is something that is making this film get the response it is, because they really have embraced it. And so I think that's been a big part of this process for us.
And I'll also say, like, Netflix, I mean, you kind of think of Netflix being this giant machine, which it is, but they were amazing to work with. I mean, just so supportive and great and helpful, and, just not crazy, which you would, I've dealt with a lot of crazies in the entertainment world, and they were really amazing. I mean, during the pandemic, we had multiple Zoom calls and meetings, but they were really great and supportive and just awesome to work with. I mean, I've told them, it's like, you guys literally have made me a better filmmaker. And they were just really supportive and just great from beginning to end. They still are. So, and that was, I'm not gonna say it was surprising, but it was a really, pardon?
Refreshing.
It was very refreshing. And I guess, surprising. I mean, you think Netflix, I mean, it's huge. And they were genuine.
The 800-pound gorilla. Yeah.
Yeah. And they always just wanted what was best for the film.
And what I really hope for all those out there listening, with a inspirational idea or an idea of faith, my hope is, and our underlying hope is, that this is letting Netflix see the power of this type of film, and the response to this type of messaging. And if I could share some of the messages and emails that the head of family has shared, they see that. They see the power of a positive film focusing on faith and family and coming together. And so my hope is this really is opening the door to a lot of other great filmmakers and stories that carry these same themes. I think they're going to have a lot of data that lets them see that the audience is there.
That's great, Gabriel. And I wonder, to that point, let's talk a little bit. And I don't want to talk about the controversy, but I want you to maybe talk to the Christians specifically who would hear this podcast that canceled Netflix recently over some offensive material that there was that movie Cuties, and there was some Brazilian thing about Jesus or something. I don't know. But people have been upset at Netflix, just like over time, other people. And a lot of people's response oftentimes is to boycott, to cancel, blah, blah, blah. To your point of what you just said right there, there are others of us that believe that if you can present an alternative that can prove that there is an audience for it, that they will also accommodate that audience as well. What do you say to the Christians who actually are critical of you for releasing a film on Netflix, and want you to not do that? What would be your response to them?
I think I would say we're called to be light in dark places. And, and not that Netflix is a dark place in any sense of the word, but, my hope is that we as believers and Christians would support and celebrate this light in this place, because if we do, the opportunity for more light will become available. And I think that's the Great Commission, right? And I heard that over and over again at Act 1. Provide alternatives instead of criticizing. Provide alternatives, and don't provide mediocre alternatives. Provide excellent alternatives. Don't just do subpar and put a stamp of faith on it, which I don't think anyone sets out to do. But I think that the challenge on us always was to try to deliver something exceptional. To try to deliver something with some of the best talents we could find, to try to deliver something that if a kid were to glance at it, they wouldn't know if it was Disney or not. And I think to celebrate that, and to celebrate that as a community, and to celebrate the message behind it and the artist behind it and the music behind it, is only going to give so much more opportunity for someone surfing on Netflix to see it show and push play and be able to hear hope and life and light, and have no idea that that's what they're necessarily watching. And I just think that's such a great opportunity for us as creators, as content creators, as artists. I mean, that's our hope. That's been a big hope of this project for us, that it would be able to be bigger than just ourselves, be able to give light to the world, to be able to speak to places and to people that wouldn't necessarily walk into a church. So I would hope those out there who maybe don't understand or question would see that awesome opportunity, and would also be able to see the power of being able to support that, so that others with great visions and great stories get a chance to also have their little block up on the screen, and hopefully be able to tell more stories that people, are able to come across that honestly could change their life. I mean, the thing that I love about our story is it tells, hopefully, kids that watch this, they're not alone. And there's power in letting yourself be loved and vulnerable. And, and our story doesn't shy away from God was always there. He was always there, even when you didn't feel him. And man, for someone to come across our little movie and hopefully get that message, I would hope we would celebrate that, and see the positivity of that, and to know that there is a partner there who wants to celebrate that as well, I think is a pretty powerful message.
I agree. That's beautiful. Well said, my friend. Well said.
That's a very good answer to a question. That's why I love Gabe Vasquez. Gabriel never would have given you that. That's all Gabe.
That wasn't a Gabriel. That was a Gabe.
Yeah, all heart.
Well, I really do love our partners at Netflix, and they really are great people. They really are phenomenal people, and who want to do phenomenal content and phenomenal stories. And I think the success of this will hopefully let them have the freedom and opportunity to sign on and to bring more on. So I really am excited. I'm excited for us across the board.
That's great.
So
I thank you for sharing that. I think there's a lot of wisdom in what you said. I'm going to complain now, though. There is one bold-faced lie in your movie that I have to call out. At least I did with my kids.
What is that?
Well, I
Well,
told my
time's
kids,
running up.
I told my kids, we're sitting there watching. I have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, 11-year-old son, 9-year-old daughter. They, like I said, they really love the film. And and then we got to the very end, you guys, and I saw the very end, and I looked at my kids and I said, "Wait a second, there's no kissing at church camp. There's no kissing at youth camp. Stop! What's going on?"
You can blame me for that one, James.
I will tell you, I will be very honest. Myself and another producer were freaking out in the corner when that was happening. I will be very honest. The Christian music marketing executive in me was sweating bullets, double amounts of deodorant. Oh my gosh. And Roman was like, let me do this. Let me do this. I'm telling you, I feel like it feels right. So, he did it, and
it absolutely was the right choice. I'm messing with you guys, but
you had to pull that out though.
As a dad, I'm like, no, there's no kissing in church camp.
Well, I remember when I was doing my director rewrites, and I constantly was saying, like, this is a romance. Like, there's romance here, and there has to be a kiss. And they're always like, oh, no kiss, no kiss, no kiss. And I think I turned in maybe my third draft, because it would evolve every time when we'd have discussions. And I remember telling them, it's like, okay, I found this place for a kiss, and it's in there, and I put it in there, and just read it and just see how it feels. But it's not, it's not anything. It's just very sweet, and it just feels right. And it did. It works. I mean, it's real. Again, it's part of that realness, like letting these teenagers be teenagers and doing something that's real.
We do have a version where they kind of like touch foreheads.
Oh, it was so awkward.
That shot does exist. They
made it weirder.
Touch forehead.
It was it was
something I didn't know, and maybe you did this intentionally and we've never talked about it, but in camp, our Christian camp and conference friends have said that they talk about no purple because blue and red when it comes together. So Penny was talking about how, like, they say at camp, no purple, no purple, no purple. And in that scene we have this big purple light on,
purple and pink, like blue and pink, that made kind of this purple. But but Will was like Verde Maximus, which was green, and she was red, so it was green and red instead of blue and red, so it worked. So yes, we unfortunately did break a major camp rule, but hopefully it was for the benefit of the story.
Yeah, my youth counselor would have been going around with a ruler, 6-inch rule, 6-inch rule. Leave room for the Holy Spirit. No, it was guys, you accomplished what you set out to do, and you made a very enjoyable film that I think people are gonna respond to for years to come. It's a fun movie. Oh, one thing I wanted to add was it was fun seeing the cameos, the Amy Grant. I was expecting Stephen Curtis Chapman to be the bus driver. That didn't happen, so I don't know. But well,
you are definitely telling that is an idea we have for the next one. Like, who can be our bus driver? We're already thinking about it.
But that was you guys clearly had fun making the film. There's a real fun energy and vibe that comes across, and I think probably a lot of that, Roman, is your leadership with that cast.
Absolutely.
And kind of shepherding them, and just across the board, congratulations. I'm curious, just before we hang up, so you guys are working together now. You have your own production company, and you're moving forward on future projects. What's in store for, what's the name of your production company, and what are you guys developing now?
We are Rove, RO for Roman B.E. Vasquez Entertainment. So we're Rove Productions, and we love this space. I mean, we both come with this love of music and where music meets story, with everything from musicals to family comedies to journeys to just, coming of age stories. We have a little bit of everything on our slate. Roman we just finished our first draft on a Christmas project. We have another coming of age musical that we just finished as well. So I think you'll see a lot of this type of film where they're, inspirational family stories, undertones of inspiration, and a lot more to come in this space.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. I love it. It's a great space to be in. I actually think that, I'm kind of like the way Roman described himself with music. I'm musically declined, but I do think that Christian music does tend to lend itself to the musical genre, doesn't it?
Right.
The storytelling and the melody or whatever it is. So it's like I think there's definitely a lot of space there and you spent a lot of your life in that world, Gabriel?
Did the last 20 years working at labels and publishing and managing artists. So there is, hopefully we have a lot more songs to go pull from in the future.
That's great. Well, I want to thank both of you guys. And once again, congratulations on A Week Away, a fantastic film. And I hope everyone runs out or you don't run out, just go to your TV or your laptop and
your local couch.
Your local couch. And if you have time, watch it right away. If not, put it in your queue to watch it as soon as possible and watch. And hey guys, here's the other thing. There's not a lot. And I know I used to be the guy who would hear people say this and I would kind of roll my eyes thinking, geez, not everything is for you and your kids. Relax. Now that I have kids, it means a lot to me when I can find films that I can watch with my kids. So thank you. I want to thank you as a dad for making something that I can watch with my kids. So thank you for that.
Thank you. That was the goal.
I know Gabe loves to hear that. That's what he loves.
Well, we have to listen to and watch all these movies, and, I'm sure you've watched as many musicals and know them as much as we do. And that was my hope. Our hope was that you would get touched from your own experiences with this music as much as your kids, and you get to share it. You get to, it becomes a great conversational piece. And so I'm really glad. Thank you, man. That was a big hope for us that, the dads and moms sitting in the couch would be just as excited as the kids are. And we're getting a lot of comments from that the kids look over to their parents as they're jumping up, singing Great Adventure.
Yes.
And wondering, how do you know this song?
Yes.
Is a really fun opportunity for everyone to get a little something. So thank you for that.
A lot of youth group choir flashbacks. I'm just going to warn everybody, if you watch this film, you're going to get a lot of youth group choir flashbacks.
So is this where you cut to singing?
What's that?
Is this where you cut to you singing one of the songs?
That's right. Yes. You cut to me singing Great Adventure.
I do want you to send me a video of you doing the Big House choreography. How about that?
It seems fair.
There's a whole how-to video on TikTok, so you can have a step-by-step lesson.
Yes. I'm sure A Week Away 2 will have some sort of giant Jesus freak mosh pit scene. With all kinds we could deep dive into 80s and 90s Christian music.
Oh man, that's the one we had to cut. That song that was originally in the film.
Was it really?
Script. Yeah, that was one we were trying to put in, and we ended up having to cut that part. So
wow.
Look at you. You know your catalog.
There you go. Exactly. A week away too. All right. Hey guys, what a privilege and an honor. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the podcast. I like to end our podcast by praying for our guests. Would you allow me to pray for you guys?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, wow, thank you for just a fantastic time talking to these great guys. So grateful for the chance to just be able to spend some time with them and talk about this fun film. And God, I just want to pray for a blessing upon both Gabe and Roman. I pray, God, that you would bless their lives, bless their families. God, bless their new endeavor with Rove. God, I pray that they would find new great stories to tell, be able to continue to create great content for families, and create films that resonate deeply with the human soul, while just helping us have a good time and entertain us. And and to laugh and to sing and just have a great time. And I'm just so grateful for their creativity and for their honesty. And I just want to pray a blessing upon just all their future endeavors. And we pray for this film that more people continue to see it. And just thank you for this opportunity to be able to connect today. We pray this in Jesus' name and your promises we stand. Amen. Thanks for listening to the Act One podcast, celebrating over 20 years as the premier training program for Christians in Hollywood. Act One is a Christian community of entertainment industry professionals who train and equip storytellers to create works of truth, goodness, and beauty. To financially support the mission of Act One or to learn more about our programs, visit us online at actoneprogram.com.